Now let's look at the issue in Libya. In recent times, it's come to the forefront, and only recently we heard stories of slave trade happening in Libya, where migrants are being sold off to work in farms and, maybe other industries for all we know. Now, what do you think? I mean, it's been greeted with a lot of outrage, but then it would seem that the Nigerian government is not as empowered as it ought to be because of the situation in Libya. What do you think can be done to ensure that Nigerians who are there can either come home or that, their rights are not abused while in Libya?
Well, it's a trending issue. And let me just make a quick digression to say that issues of migration is common everywhere. Even behind our backyards, we have migrants. When we take house helps from Togo, we take tailors from Senegal, we take teachers from Ghana. Those are migrants. And in Nigeria, we need to look at how we deal with migrants as well. And they are migrant workers, and they are undocumented, and so they are not within the streamline of Nigerian data. Just as also we have Nigerians who are migrants outside various countries, some of them documented in the context that they are allowed to live and work. And the United Nations has shied away with using the word illegal migrants. They would rather call them undocumented migrants because of the potential stigma that it has. So the migration issue is now focused on Libya, but there are migrants challenges all over, like I said, under our rules. And the Libya issue still boils down to that these migrants, yes, they have crossed the border into another territory, and the receiving country is a sovereign government that has the right to determine the rules that governs the entry and stay of their countries. But nevertheless, they are obliged by law to ensure that the rights of those who are within their jurisdiction are protected. So from that start, we need to look at the obligations of Libya to the migrants who are there, who are undocumented and have not been given the right to stay. But by law, they also have the rights, certain rights to be protected. Under no circumstance must they be detained, because migration is not a criminal offense. It's a breach of administrative procedure. And the administrative sanction must never include detention. So we must look at what's going on in Libya with regards to their compliance with international treaties as regards migrants who have invaded their countries.
Invaded you? That's an interesting choice.
Yeah, well, invaded because it's such a massive. Yeah. I actually like to picture the state of Libya with all the bouts of arrival of migrants, not only from Nigeria, from all over Africa. So it's like an invasion, maybe without some military attendance to it.
Now, you said that, sorry to interrupt your thoughts, but you said that they do not have the right to detain them.
Yes.
Now, from what we understand, when this undocumented, I want to take your choice of words,
yes.
When these undocumented migrants arrive Libya, I mean, most of them are looking for an onward journey to Europe.
Yeah.
And we understand that in the time of Gaddafi, there was an agreement signed between the European countries and Libya that if these migrants do not have papers, then they must be detained in a camp. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Was that a violation of their right?
Obviously. I mean, two countries cannot agree to violate an international treaty to which they are signatories to. Libya and the European countries are signatory to the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, and the various immigration rights that govern immigration.
Yeah, but if you're an undocumented migrant,
yes.
How much of your rights can you really claim if you haven't done what you ought to do in terms of documentation?
That's where the human right comes in. Just like we say, you may be a suspect, you may even be a convict that has committed a crime. You have rights. So fine, you are in a country where you have not got the proper papers to reside in. Under no circumstance must you be killed for that reason, because you are a human being and your life should not be taken away. Under no circumstance must you be tortured. because those are fundamental rights of a human being. And the best the country can do is to repatriate them. But they must be treated with as absurd as it sounds, but that's what the law says and that's what the rights entail, that you may have done some wrong, but you must be accorded the rights that you are entitled to as a human being.
So while they await repatriation then, can they be detained?
To the extent that there is a reason to do so. You don't just indiscriminately keep them in somewhere that is so unhealthy and unsafe perpetually without them knowing exactly what's going on. If I'm in transit and Libya is not my final destination, and for whatever reason you choose to detain me because you intend to repatriate me, that's in order. Because it's for a while for the documentations and all to be completed. And whilst I'm there, you are entitled not to torture. And that we just need to have some level of dignity covering all these indiscretions that we may have carried out and work within the law.
So would you say then that the existence of these detention camps, where we understand that undocumented migrants are kept, are illegal?
Absolutely, in line according to the rules that govern the migration.
But then when you look at the existence, the fact that, you know, this issue has been on for a while, I mean, only recently we interviewed Newton Jibono, who talked about the issue on Sunrise Daily, and he says that he believes, I mean, well, not he believes, he talked about the existence of a cartel that specializes in recruiting people, you know, to take them across the Mediterranean, obviously for you know, personal gains into Europe. Now, when we know that there is an existence of this cartel, do you think they were doing enough? And are people sensitized enough to know the dangers of leaving Nigeria as an undocumented migrant?
That's another angle of it all. Why are Nigerians leaving at their peril, even when they know that they are endangered? That's a very deep condition of the mind that one begins to wonder. You say, I'd rather die on the sea than stay here in Nigeria and starve to death. That's the way their mind is working, because you really want to know, why would somebody who knows that there's danger, for those who know, there are others who may have been deceived and believe that, oh, once you're able to cross, the grass is very green. And so it behoves on Nigeria here now to begin to carry out massive advocacy, massive enlightenment about the risk, the danger, the peril to life of wandering away undocumented to another country. And and I think we need to do that right now as they bring in the other migrants into the country now. I guess they themselves have stories to tell, which will expand the advocacy. But I think that Nigeria must regard this as one core obligation that they have now, that needs to be carried out immediately, is to find a way to, in all languages, discourage migration in the manner in which it is going on currently. Of course, you can migrate when you have the documents and you can live in another country, well documented, that's fine. But when you have no documents and you have no idea, and you are listening to somebody who says, just come over, there's work there, and then you get there and you find that your expectations are actually far below what you had been informed. So that would be what I would advise now, that we must take up great advocacy in discouraging Nigerians from going that route.
There is some attempt there, but before I ask you if we're doing enough, I mean, rights will mean nothing if the rights are not enforced. Yeah. How do you think, you have already painted the picture of what is wrong in Libya, the fact that people are detained and the fact that migrants have rights, but who is to enforce these rights, considering the current political situation even in Libya? Yes,
it's a fragmented state as we speak, but at least there is a central government that is recognized internationally. So we can start from that government.